travel in all directions. All right? So that is correct. And our last statement, hitting an object harder changes the pitch. Again, if something is at a low pitch, hitting it harder will only make it loud. It will not change the pitch. So that is how we would answer that question. All right, let's try another one on sound. All right, here's the question. Mark wants to block out the noise of the drum from his brother's room. He places an alarm clock in a box lined with different soundproofing materials and measures the loudness of the sound produced. So he probably has some way to determine how loud the sound is, all right? And so he uses 3 different situations. He uses a closed box lined with cotton, closed box lined with foam, and a closed box lined with wool. So remember, he's trying to find out which material, right, is best at reducing the sound level, all right? So which 2 things? Again, we're asking for 2 things.
Remember, gambling is just a game. Choose to gamble responsibly. Set a budget, avoid chasing losses, and stop gambling when you reach your money limit. For gambling help, call RISE 888-991-4146. A message from the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission.
A major area in high school for me was IT and EDPM. I did that for 2 years, and from then I realized that there was a drive for more of technology. So I decided to take this step.
Motorists, as Minister of Justice, I appeal to you, obey the road code, pay your ticket on time, and only go to court if the ticket is being contested. Close to 80% of matters coming to the parish courts are for traffic breaches. Let's work together to make our roads safe and ease the burden on our courts.
Tell me something.
also have Nicole Patrick Shaw, the chairman of the National Child Month Committee and Deputy Executive Director of the Institute of Jamaica. Other members of the media who are here, Jamaicans watching at home and abroad, good morning to you. And it's a very good morning. I've already had 2 mangoes today, and so I am happy. It is mango season, and in mango season, I am the happiest that I ever am. Today and tomorrow, we have grade 6 PEP exams, and I want to thank all of the teachers who've been working so hard with our students. I want to thank the parents. I know many parents are at the schools standing outside, very nervous. I was one of those last year that was stressed out. And so I understand and I commiserate with all the parents going through it today. But I know our students have been prepared well. Their teachers have been preparing them very well. And I know that they will do very well in the exams today. Taking the exam in this sitting, we have 33,434 children taking the exam between today and tomorrow. That's 17,042 boys and 16,392 girls. We also have 45 students with special needs who are doing the exams, and I'm very happy when I see the numbers and seeing how inclusive we are in terms of having our students with special needs also taking the exam. In terms of accommodations, special accommodations were granted to 556 students. And many people don't realize that the ministry really works with where our children are. And the CEO and her team, they do a fantastic job in ascertaining if students need extra time, for example, if they may need a reader or a shadow with them to help to calm them throughout the exam. And also their accommodations, including printing the scripts in large print or in Braille for those who may need it. So there's a lot of work that's done in terms of accommodating our students, and I want to thank the team at all of our regions that are out there today and that have worked really hard to make the exam process go very smoothly. In terms of crime, I always talk about the crime stats. As at April 26, 2025, murders are down 36.6%. That is a big, big reduction in crime. And I saw one of our newspapers this morning on the front page declaring we are winning. And Dr. Chang yesterday in his wonderful presentation in the Parliament talked about a lot of the gains we have made. So that's 36.6% down, murders down by 36.6%. That means 130 less people than last year lost their lives due to murder. It means 130 less mothers in pain. It is a big number, it is a big deal, and we need to celebrate it. In addition to that, major crimes are down 18.2%. That is 250 less major crimes in our country in the period up to April 26 when you compare it to last year. And so those are things to celebrate, and every week that we do post-cab, I'm going to celebrate those numbers because they are worth celebrating, and also commending our wonderful members of the JCF who are working so hard to keep us safe and have worked tremendously in bringing these numbers down. I also want to speak to new penalties for murder. And yesterday, there was a very, very busy sitting of the House. A lot happened in the House, and I know Minister Morgan was there, and he was participating. At one point, I was looking. Minister Morgan, you were there? And I saw you sitting in in a special seat yesterday. But I was very, very happy to see it, and I was smiling. But there was a lot going on yesterday, and you may have missed this, and this is a very big deal. New penalties for murder were passed in the House of Representatives yesterday. And so what was passed, and you have to really pay attention to this, there were amendments made to the Offenses Against the Person Act, the Criminal Justice Administration Act, and the Child Care and Protection Act. These amendments represent a vital and deliberate response to to the levels of violent crime in our society, particularly those involving the most heinous offense, which is murder. In respect of the Offenses Against a Person Amendment Bill, for non-capital murder, the mandatory minimum sentence for imprisonment is now 30 years. That's 30 years for non-capital murder under the Offenses Against a Person Act. For capital murder, we have increased the mandatory minimum sentence to be served before being eligible for parole from 20 years to 50 years. That is us saying that we are really serious on crime. We are saying that the victims of murder and of crime matter, and that the penalties have to be very, very strong. We've also seen under that same act, the Offenses Against a Person Act, we're increasing the mandatory minimum sentence to be served before being eligible for parole, where the sentence is imprisonment for life. We're moving that from 15 years to 40 years. And finally, where a term of years has been imposed, the period that must be served before becoming eligible for parole is 20 years. In terms of the Criminal Justice Administration Amendment Bill, there were some amendments that were recommended here that have been passed and were passed yesterday, and it increases the term of years to be deemed as life imprisonment from 30 years to 50 years where the offense committed is murder. The starting point for calculating the reduction in the sentence is usually life imprisonment, and the aim of this amendment is to maintain an incentive scheme for defendants to plead guilty, but ensuring that the reduced sentence is not inordinately low. And so we know that we will still give that credit if you do plead guilty, but this term that is still served needs to be sufficiently long to serve as a disincentive for doing this. So the Prime Minister said this was a priority, and it is a priority, and we have done what we said we were going to do. No one can think that I can commit murder and I can go and cool out for a bit in jail and then come back out after 15 years or so and commit another murder. We are saying that is no longer the case. And we're very serious about this. We're very serious about preserving life. We're very serious about the rights of the victims. And the victims are often voiceless in what happens. And so this is us saying to Jamaica, we hear the cries of all of the people who have been victims and their families have been victims to murder. And we are very much saying to Jamaica, we will not stand for it, and the penalties demonstrate that. I know that Minister Chuck will be speaking a lot more on these changes. It happened during Parliament yesterday, but there will be a lot more that will be provided in relation to these changes. There are other things that I have on my list, but given that I'm at 9:15 and I have some other things to do, if we have time at the end, I can go through them. But I do want to move now to our first presentation. I'll tell you what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be having Minister Morgan first, who is responsible for works. And I always want to know what's happening in terms of the works portfolio, and I know all of Jamaica does, and so he will go first. After him, we'll have Dr. Kassan Troop, who will be speaking about Child Month. And then we'll also have our Chief Education Officer, who will be coming to speak about our interventions in relation to CXC and CXC math in particular. And then we'll also have a discussion around the Prime Minister's Youth Awards. So that's the lineup for this morning. So please join me in welcoming Minister Robert Nestor Morgan, our Minister with Responsibility for Works.
Thank you very much. The very eloquent and effective Dr. Dana Morris Dixon. I see your stewardship of the information portfolio has been stellar. I don't see any need for any adjustment or changes. So we give thanks. It's an inside joke. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for, Dana, thank you very much for your invitation to the post-cabinet press briefing. And also thanks to members of the media who are here and those in the public domain who are listening. I have been summoned here this morning to give an update on the various programs carried out by the Ministry of Works through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. The primary of which being the SPARK program. I will give you an update on SPARK, but I just want to give a general update as to some of the things that we have been doing over the last several months. It is almost a year since I've been Minister with responsibility for works. And I think we have done significant work over that period, but the work continues. I will start off with the South Coast Highway Improvement Project, where we are now 90% complete. We have completed Part A, Maypen to Williamsfield Road Extension, which is essentially a toll road which is not yet tolled. We have given the public a benefit of no tolling over the last several months. The Part B2, Harborview to Yallas Bridge, which is a 4-lane highway, is also open to the public, as well as Part B3 and 4, Yallas to Port Antonio, and Morant Bay to Cedar Valley, which is a 2-lane highway, which was divided into 3 tranches. 1 and 2 are substantially complete, and we have minor outstanding works there, and tranche 3 is now significantly complete. I would like to also announce, Minister Dixon, that the government has approved the Port Antonio bypass. Cabinet would have approved the Port Antonio bypass recently, which is an $81 million investment, which will ease traffic congestion and open up Port Antonio to more development, as well as give persons better access to that side of the island. That's a very significant development by the government of Jamaica. It is a variation on the South Coast Highway Improvement Project, so it's not a new contract, and it is valued at $81 million. In terms of capital expenditure, which is aimed at improving transportation in the Kingston metropolitan area, we are almost finished with Grange Lane. Prime Minister would have toured Grange Lane a few weeks ago, so we're 92% complete. That was a $1 billion investment in the parish of Portmore, and we're expecting completion by June of this year. Cabinet has also approved the $2.4 billion Brayton Road to part of the Hellshire Main Road, and this contract has been awarded to S&G, and it will commence in June of this year. We have other capital expenditure slated. I know persons are very excited about East Kings House Road, Lady Musgrave. That is in the planning process to be executed probably late this financial year or next financial year. We're working very feverishly on the new entrance to the Portmore from the Mandela Highway, which will also include Municipal Boulevard. I know a lot of persons are excited about that. And the big one, we've started the studies on the Sandy Gully. And I don't want to say Sandy Gully, I want to say Sandy Gully and its tributaries, because it's not just Sandy Gully. It is a whole ecosystem of drains built in the 60s thereabout to prevent flooding in Kingston. So we're going to do a total rehabilitation of the Sandy Gully. But before we spend that money, we have to make sure we do the studies to ensure that we're doing it properly. Those studies are started. So a lot of these feasibility studies for the CAPEX programs are in various stages, and they will be going to the public investment management system soon. The other major thing that I would have announced over the last several months is that we have 2 bridge programs running at the same time. One is well advanced, the other is in its infancy. The first one is a priority bridge program, which is funded by your tax dollars to the tune of $1.5 billion, which will include 7 bridges, including the Troy Bridge, which is $230 $30 million, which is now 60% complete. We had some rains over the last several weeks on the border between Trelawney and Manchester, which would have slowed down the work. But the work has restarted. But the people do have access, as they have a footbridge, a temporary footbridge that we have put in place. The Spring Village Bridge in St. Catherine, which is another $250 million, that's 10% in progress. We're driving piles into the ground now to lay the foundation for that bridge. There was also in the news the Craig Mill Bridge, which is valued at $170 million. We're in the planning stage of that, but we are currently constructing a $30 million footbridge to give the people of Craig Mill access across the river. Studies have been complete for Southwood in Clarendon, Barham in Westmoreland, Guanaba Vale in St. Catherine, and these structures are moving to the PIMS appraisal phase. And we also have the Mahogany Vale Bridge in St. Thomas, which is being repackaged. To the people of Mahogany Vale, your bridge started about 3 years ago. Then we had the Gardentown breakaway and several other incidents which stopped the construction. We attempted to negotiate a restart to it, but when we looked at the cost and the change in prices, it was decided to start it over afresh. I want to also mention, as somebody asked me, about Ali. So we're spending about $30 million on Ali. The contractor has already been chosen. It was a public tender. The contract was awarded, and we expect work on the Ali entranceway and some remedial work on the road to be done in the next several weeks. As I said earlier, Port Antonio bypass is the big deal right now. $81 million US, Norwich to Turtle Harbor. And the objective is to improve travel efficiency, reduce congestion, and support regional economic growth. It is expected to start in June of this year. There are several other strategic investments that the government is making. We have the Palisados Airport roundabout to the bottom of Mountain View. We have the Palisados Airport roundabout to Port Royal. Prime Minister would have announced yesterday a big one, the total rehabilitation of Spanish Town Road. Spanish Town Road, for those who don't know, stretches from 6 Mile to Darling Street, I think. Those who born and grew in Kingston would be very familiar with Spanish Town Road. So the Prime Minister would have announced yesterday we're in the planning stages for the rehabilitation, and the rehabilitation will take next financial year. But while that is happening, we will be doing some remedial work to bring some respite and comfort to the commuters who traverse Spanish Town Road. We have Washington Boulevard, 6 miles to Malines Road. We have Dunrobin Avenue extension to East Kings House Road. We have the Red Hills Road, Dunrobin Avenue to Perkins Boulevard. We have Eastwood Park Road to Washington Boulevard. Old Hope Road is slated for major rehab. Brayton Parkway, Port Maria Bypass, Lucy Bypass, Hopewell, and the Sandy Bay Bypass. And over time, as the Prime Minister did yesterday, he will articulate more details about these significant road and infrastructure development. P.S. we have spent almost $9 billion last year on road infrastructure. That is the highest we have ever spent in the history of Jamaica on road rehabilitation. And this year, with the help of my cabinet colleague, Dr. Morris Dixon, we're hoping to convince the Minister of Finance to at least match those funds that we spent last year. You would have heard of the REACH program. That is almost totally complete. We're about 80%. That was a $3 billion program split between constituencies and national road infrastructure. You also had the REACH emergency, which I know a lot of persons were thankful for, that started in December and is almost complete now. Spark is well underway. 38 roads are under construction right now. Some have been finished. For the most part, Richings Avenue is finished. We have roads in downtown Kingston which have been finished. Maho Drive is finished. Ransford Close in St. Catherine is almost finished. We have Everest Drive, which is almost finished, and also Richings Avenue. Orange Grove is being paved right now, and Dorothy Drive in St. Andrew was being paved yesterday. So when I say spark is sparking, it's a significant spark. And we made a commitment that by July, we would have completed at least 70 roads, which means that we should have completed at least one road in each constituency. No, that doesn't mean that that's the only amount of roads we're doing this year. We're going to be doing almost 200 roads this year. But as you know, with all systems, it takes some time to ramp up. So Jasmine Close in St. Catherine, I visited there. That is finished. And there are several other roads. I am happy to boast that Stewarton Road in my constituency is also being constructed, as well as in North Clarendon Dam Road in the constituency of MP Dwight Sibley's. Every week, Minister, I get a report on the Spark program. It's something that I think is important because we as a government have to make a very firm and focused management of the Spark program. It's one of the most important programs in the history of Jamaica. We have never spent $45 billion on community roads in such a short period of time. And yesterday I would have gotten the report from the National Works Agency and the contractors. So to remind you, we have announced 168 roads so far. We're going to be announcing some more. We commenced 24 in April. We're planning to commence 32 by the end of, we commenced 24 in April. We're planning to commence 32 by next week. And within May, we're going to be upwards of about 50. And so far, we have gone to about 38 constituencies. And we have a report here that shows me, based on color coding, where each road is and what extent it is. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be posting this on social media and on the sparkjamaica.gov.jm website. So every week, but probably every Thursday, persons can see, not just me, where their roads are, how far it is, and so on. I want to thank the public for their patience and understanding. I know that a lot of persons in Orange Grove and Everest Drive and Richins and all over the island, including South St. Elizabeth, where we also have a road going on, are very frustrated at times with the dislocation caused by road development. But we appreciate their patience, we appreciate their understanding. And I will be there in your community. I'm visiting every road to engage with you, to hear your views, your concerns, and to respond to those views and concerns. I would love if you would allow questions, Madam Minister, if there are any. And I want to thank you to everyone for welcoming us once again to post-cabinet press briefing.
I'm going to hand over to Naomi. Naomi, are there any questions from hearing all of these wonderful infrastructure programs?
All right. Good morning, Minister. Thank you so much. I see Mahiri and Laverne. Good morning, Laverne. You're making a return to post-cabinet minister. Mahiri, we're going to start with you.
They don't, I mean, it was so comprehensive, Naomi. Mahiri just wants his road to be fixed.
I'm sorry. Let's go. Oh, you don't, okay, wonderful. You are correct then, Minister. There are none, and I'm surprised too with Laverne. Well done.
Thank you very much,
Very
Minister.
good. Thank you. Thank you, Minister. I think everybody just wants to see their road fixed. I used to drive on Richings a lot, and I saw all the potholes. And then now you have the community saying the carpet is too smooth. We need to put speed bumps in. And so it's really nice to see the work being done. And I have to congratulate you, Minister, for all the work you have been doing. You said it's your 1 year anniversary. You've done a lot in 1 year. And we've seen it all across our country. So thank you. And I guess they don't have no questions for you. They just want you to fix their roads and continue doing what you're doing.
It's very good to be on the other side of the I'm not being bombarded with liver rights questions. So I leave it to your capable hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. All right. So next up, we have our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, Dr. Kassan Troop. She is coming to the podium to discuss our National Child Month activities.
Good morning, Minister. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, those online. It's Child Month 2025. We are excited. I'm really happy, Minister, coming from that presentation by Minister Morgan, because the roads being fixed mean the children will get to school on time. We have over 500,000 students on the road every single day. And to know we are getting some improvement in our roads, I'm really, really excited. So that's part of what we have a right to do, or rather a responsibility to do on behalf of our children. But before I go any further, let me announce for you the Child Month theme for this year: Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse and Exploitation. I have the chair of the Child Month Committee who is going to give you some more information, and then I will join the exploitation. I have the chair of the Child Month Committee who is going to give you some more information, and then I will join her right after.
All right, good morning, colleagues. So it must be 2006. And then in November, the Planning Institute of Jamaica released Jamaica's first violence survey against children. And we recognize some starking results in terms of what is happening with our children. And so we recognize that we needed to put into action the theme, Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse and Exploitation. So what are we doing now? For Child Month, the National Child Committee is asking persons to stand and do something from where they are at. We have our church service that is happening this Saturday, and we're collaborating with a number of government entities. CPFSA is on board with us. We are asking persons to celebrate Children's Day, which is the third Friday of this month, so you wear your yellow. We have our Care Package Day, we have our youth forums, we have our mental awareness day. So we're just asking you from where you stand, whether you are in an entity or whether you are in a community group, to join the charge. Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse and Exploitation.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And I just want Jamaica to know that the Child Month Committee is the government's commitment to reassuring and reaffirming child rights in Jamaica. As you know, Jamaica ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and we have been very active over the years, making sure that our children are aware of their rights. You know, we have passed the Child Care and Protection Act right here in Jamaica, which embodies the clauses, regulations in the convention that Jamaica ratified. So we are an active participant, and we are committed as a country to making sure that our children are safe. And of course, our Governor General declared the third Friday in every May, the month of May, the third Friday every year, as Children's Day, which is our day to celebrate the children, to give them an opportunity to play and to be. And also the month of May is to focus on the rights and responsibilities of our children. The Child Care and Protection Act is built around the 3 Ps: protection rights, participation rights, and provision rights. And Child Month is set up to build or increase the awareness around these rights. We are grateful that we have the opportunity as a country to reach our children in our schools. So all our schools will be active participants in the Child Month activities. We will be having our Children's Day. All our children will be engaged on that day in our schools. I want to thank our principals who have ensured every year that attention is given to this day for our children. Many times you even treat your children, Minister, they get ice cream on that day and fruits on that day and so forth. And we have empowerment sessions on that day for our children. So May 16th this year, every school in Jamaica will be looking at focusing on our children in a special way. For this year as well, the ministry will be sending out a tip. So our calendar with tips For each day in the month of May, a tip will be circulated right across Jamaica using our social media, all of our schools. Parents get involved, church get involved. We'll be sending everything out so you can participate. There's a tip for you every day, and the tip is really a charge, something for you to do. Sometimes it's really about hugging your child for that day, commending your child for that day. It's about being focused on your child or your children all of the month of May. Following that activity, we are going to be specializing in what we call our on-the-corner conversations, wellness conversations. Coming out of COVID, we have had to amplify the work in the well-being area of our children. And so Evening Child Month will be in one of our schools, with several other schools coming out. That's in the latter part of May, talking about the mental health issues facing our children. How are you feeling? How are you coping? The Ministry of Health will be partnering with us, and they will be roving with their wellness bench, and we'll be having conversation on the bench. The bench is like a prop to stimulate conversation and to create that atmosphere for us to talk about what's happening and how we can help. Experts will be there to provide support for our children, so that's a big day for us in the month of May. In addition to that, we are being inclusive. So we'll be having a conversation with our students at the Landilo Special School, where our children who have special needs will be entertained, will be celebrated, will be feted. They'll get a day of play, and they also get to talk. How are you feeling? How am I feeling? Are we serving you well as children with special needs? What more can Jamaica do? What more can our schools do? That's a big day for our children with special needs. So we are trying to be inclusive. Our minister has instructed us, as she joined us, to make sure that our children, and of course our children with special needs, they are not left out. The the Early Childhood Commission, they have a slew of activities that they will do as well with the infants and with the parents of the infants. So please listen out and get involved with the Early Childhood Commission, our agency, the Child Development Agency. CPFSA also, Minister, they have indicated that they will be working with the children in the state care throughout the month of May. They will be having Boys' Day for the children, they will be having Girls' Day, and they will be having a National Sports Day for the children in state care within the month of May. And they will be launching their Picnic Sense TV series for children in state care. So a number of activities are being planned and will be rolled out in the month of May as we celebrate our children. So my charge now to you, colleagues, parents, friends, everyone listening. The theme says, act now. So I'm calling all of us to act now and stand against child abuse and exploitation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. PS, I'm going to just go straight into CU, and then we take all of the questions at the end, and we'll start with CEO first, who's going to talk about the interventions on mathematics. It's an area that's very important. We've seen the scores in mathematics in our country at the CXC level, and there are a lot of interventions taking place right now as we speak, and over the last few weeks there were a lot of interventions, and we've asked her to come and just to speak on some of those.
Thank you, Minister. Good morning, everyone. Senator Dr. Honorable Dana Morris-Dixon. Good morning, our PS, Dr. Kassan Troop, our media, our parents, our students, our teachers, and our educators. It is indeed a pleasure to stand here this morning to tell you our success. The ministry continues to transform education, and in transforming education, student performance is our priority. And we started out the academic year with our tactical approach. We continue to improve on how it is that we implement school improvement to drive students' performance, improvement in students' performance. Our principals and teachers continue to go beyond the call of duty to ensure that our children are the center of all that they do. And I want at this time to express our appreciation on behalf of our minister and our PS, our appreciation to our principals, our teachers, our educators, and all our regional officers who went out this Easter. We had our Easter camp, and I'm proud to say that our Easter camp saw our students coming out. Our parents continue to be our supportive arm with our students. Usually we don't have our parents playing such an important role at this level, and I'm seeing, Minister, where our parents are now not just forgetting our students at high school, but they are with them. And I want to congratulate our parents as well, because your role in our success is very critical. The camps this year occurred over the month of April, where we had our 56 high schools. While we're focusing on those 56 high schools, we saw where all high schools had camps for mathematics and English language for our CSEC students and our City and Guild students. Content were delivered in mathematics for CSEC, City and Guild. We looked at specific areas in math such as trigonometry, matrices, vectors, and we had, of our 56 high schools, we had 46 high schools that participated in the camps. We saw at least 47% of our students who are registered for CSEC being present at our camps across all 7 regions. Our schools, they provided meals on some occasion for the students. Our education officers, our teachers, our parents were there as well, giving support at the camp. What is commendable, we had a residential camp in Region 3 where we had over 90 students present at that camp for an entire week, going through math content, personal development, psychosocial activities. Our students have done their part, and I'm confident, Minister, that we will see the success in this sitting of CSEC. I want at this time to wish our students who are sitting CSEC and all the exams all the best. You have put in the role, and we're really proud of you and the efforts that you have made in ensuring that you play your part in your education pursuit. Thank you very much.
All right, so you see some of the numbers there on the screen in terms of attendance at the Easter camps. And as we've said before, we're focusing on some schools that have had the performance being below where we would want to. And so we've been intervening as a ministry there. And so those were the schools that had the camps. I went to one of the camps just to see how it was going, and all the students were not there. 40% of the students in those schools actually showed up for the camp. What it says is that 60% of our students did not show up for the camp. Even though it was put on for them, it was really very good. When I spoke to the students who were in the camps, they said that they were able to get a lot of the areas that they were struggling with in maths dealt with during the camp, because we had our ministry experts were at the schools working with the math teachers. It was really beautiful to see, and our teachers giving up their Easter holiday to come out to work with the students in this way was really very good. And so we're hoping that over time, other parents will see it important to send their children during the holidays to take advantage of these camps. It is for their benefit. We want to see them thrive and do well. That is why we do these camps. And so please participate in them. And I thank all the parents who sent their children out, all the students who were there during their holiday and really starting to work through some of the issues they had in maths and to really prepare for the CXC exams that are coming up. I will now open up for questions. Naomi, over to you in terms of questions.
You know, today I'm ensuring that, or especially because Mr. Barrett is here, that we give them full reign. Yes, I'm picking on him because he hasn't been here for a while, but all right, Laverne, we'll give you the mic.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Minister, just one question from me. We've been talking for some years now about, and this is off topic, just to indicate, about a review of the Access to Information Act. Can you indicate at this point where we are with that particular review?
Information Act is a very important one. It's one that we take very seriously. And I know when I meet with the information team, I usually get the updates on how many requests have come in, how our ministry is doing in terms of responding. It is really a very important governance tool because it says that we're open to giving information. It's very similar to this post-cabinet press briefing where I come and take any question that is asked. In terms of the Act, there was a joint select committee that was looking at the Act. And there was a draft of some amendments that had been prepared. Those were sent to the AG chambers for their review and for us to move the process forward. I have not gotten back the response from the AG chambers as yet. It is something that we've been following up on so that we can get those responses. Because we're going to have to make a decision once we get that back. Do we move straight into amendments? Do we do another round of a joint select committee? Because it's been some time since those recommendations were put on the table, and I'm sure that individuals like you in the media may have new things you would want us to contemplate. And so once we get that back, I will make a determination in terms of where we go forward. I do believe that this is a piece of legislation that we do have to do some amendments to, and it will be a priority for me. So as soon as I get back the comments from the AG chambers, I will come here and I'll tell you when I'm coming to discuss what has been found and what is the way forward so that we can get a functioning act.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you have a follow-up?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Minister, just in preparing for the press conference this morning, I was doing some reading, and it seems to me like that was the position from 2019, that it would be sent to the AG's department for an opinion.
Yes.
Right, so I'm saying 6 years those seem to be...
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's 6. I'd have to check the dates, but I know when I assumed this role, that was one of the first things I checked on was where were we with the Access to Information Act, because members of the media like you would have asked me about it. And I have said that for me, I want to move it forward. I want to move the amendments forward. And so with my checks with the information team, it's been that it is still at the AG chambers. I have raised it, and I have asked for an update. And I will, now that you've brought it up again, I will put it higher on my radar. It will go up to number 1 on my list of to-dos so that I can come back and give you information on where we are. Yeah.
Thank you, Minister. And yes, your position is in fact very correct, but we'll get some things done on it. Mahiri, good morning.
Morning, Minister. Mahiri Stewart, Nationwide News. So yesterday the PNP had a press conference regarding the JTC bill, and they raised quite a number of issues that they had with it that they wanted to see changes to. Among them were calls for a 6-month grace period in terms of license renewal. They had concerns about the CPD and whether or not it was affordable enough for teachers, the lack of definition of some terms like fit and proper or competent to teach, a lack of provisions for temporary teachers to be put in, restrictions on private educators, along these lines. The PNP also called on the government to address these issues as quick as they could. Are these issues that I've just listed issues that the government have also recognized?
All right, this is a very good question. I'm glad that you asked about the JTC bill, and it really is a question of good governance. And we have to really have a serious conversation about good governance. So this bill has been in several different iterations for 21 years. There's been a lot of dialogue, a lot of consultation on it. A lot of different groups have given their opinion on what it should look like. And over the last 2 years, we had a joint select process where we had members from the government, members from the opposition. There were 45 different joint select committee meetings. All 45 joint select committee meetings were televised. And we had opposition and government there. And the bill that was presented in the Senate was actually just a bill that came from that joint select process. So everything in there would have been discussed in the joint select process. But then you don't stop it there. You don't just pass a bill. You still take it to be debated. I tabled the bill in the Senate, and I waited 1 month to have the debate on it. to give everybody sufficient time to read it. On the day that I was to do the debate on the bill, the opposition said they were still not ready, and they asked for 2 more weeks. And I said, okay. And then 2 weeks later, we had a debate. And the issues that were raised yesterday were not raised in that debate. And it opens a lot of questions. And for me, someone who is not a politician, a career politician who's come into this, you wonder, how can this be? How can you have a debate on Friday after having the bill being laid for 6 weeks, after 2 years of 45 different joint select committee meetings between opposition and government? How can you then have 4 days later a press conference saying, oh, I now have issues and these are my issues? And so there's a real governance question. Are we doing the work we're supposed to be doing? Are we as attentive to our joint select committees? Are we reading the bills? Because on Friday, I asked every Jamaican to go back and look at that debate and tell me if you felt that some of the members had read the bill. And it's very, very important that we are faithful to what we're called to do. We're called to be senators, we're called to be MPs, and we're called to do that work faithfully. And so it's unfortunate that those comments come at this time. Some of them had actually come in the joint select process and had been adjudicated, and different people had given their opinion on how it should be dealt with. And I think the bill that we have is really a consensus bill. But I also understand that whenever you have a new bill, something new, it's a new regime, you're going to have some discomfort, and you have to explain and explain and explain it. And so that's really the posture we're in, is that, we're here to explain. We're here to explain all of the different features. But you mentioned some things, for example, moratorium and so on. And that's where I say, we really need to read the bill. Because the bill is very clear that the bill, once it comes into force, and the minister determines when it comes into force, but once it comes into force, the bill very clearly says there's a 2-year moratorium. The bill says that, so I don't understand now a request for 6 months when the bill says there's a 2-year moratorium. So when the regime comes into place, when the bill comes into place, teachers have 2 years before they need to be registered. The bill also does not speak to a cost of registration. The bill says that the minister may, or the council may determine what the registration fee is. And I've already determined that that would be minimal or zero in the beginning, because you want to encourage our teachers to be a part of this. And in the bill, everywhere in the bill, and if you read the bill, it's very clear that all of the rules for implementation, it says it must be determined with consultation with stakeholders. So even what the licensing regime would need to be agreed by stakeholders. All of the details in terms of fit and proper and so on would be agreed through consultation. That's in the bill. And so I think it's one of the most consultative bills I have seen. And I think a part of the reason it is like this is because of the strong influence of the union. The JTA was very much at the table in giving information and speaking about the bill. And they were there when I opened the debate. The JTA president was there in the Senate when I opened the debate. So there's never been any lack of wanting to collaborate and have discussions on it. And so it was a bit disappointing to me, though, that, after all of this long process, the 21-year process, and especially the last 2 years, which was so intense, that you now have these questions coming. But I'm here to answer them, and I think it's a good bill, and I don't think it puts our teachers at a disadvantage, and our administration would never do anything to put our teachers at a disadvantage. And we welcome the dialogue, and I've seen, the JTA starting to have some webinars and so on the JTC bill, and we welcome that, and we welcome the opportunity to continue dialoguing and moving the education system forward, because that's our goal. That's our goal. Our goal is not to put anyone down. Our goal is to see our children thrive. That's our goal, and everything we're doing is around getting to that ultimate outcome. And that was a very long answer, I know. I'm sorry, Mahiri.
All right, thank you, Minister. Any other questions? Oh, you have another. All right, no problem.
Thank you for the answer, Minister. Now we're going to switch over to math in the presentation we just heard a while ago. In terms of accessing that 60% that wasn't present at the math camps, is there anything you believe can be done, whether by the ministry or by the high schools, to further prepare those students that may not have been at these camps for CSEC coming up?
Well, there is a conversation we have to have about parental involvement that we've not really had. When our students get to high school, a lot of times the parents say, you know, you're big now, and aren't as interested in what is happening. And what the ministry has done in its tactical approach, which is to target the schools where we have the levels of underperformance that we think are not healthy for our children, they have engaged the parents. In some instances, parents come. In some instances, no parent shows up for the engagement. And so that is something that we have to work on in the ministry. How do we better engage parents? It may mean going into the communities more and not just an email from school. But the good thing is that this is our first year doing these kinds of targeted interventions. And you would have seen on the presentation, we knew what were the areas the students were struggling with the most. In the past, we never had that kind of information on which tests they did that they fell down the most. So we're monitoring even their monthly tests that they're doing at school for those schools, so that we can intervene better. This is our first year. There are a lot of lessons to learn. And if we're going to reach our children, if we're going to save our children in these schools, we're going to have to learn lessons. And I think the parental involvement is one. We've also discussed, and when I was at one of the schools, they had about half of their students there. They were more than the 40%. But they had noted that maybe if we had lunch every day, they would have more participation. And so we're going to be looking at it. And in some of the programs, we did provide lunch, and we saw the numbers higher for those. So we know one lesson we've learned. Let's talk about nutrition, and the nutrition element is really big. It's really a detractor from our students coming to learn. So there are things we're learning from it, and next year it's going to be even bigger and better because we've learned our lessons this year.
Thank you, Minister. There are no more questions on the floor. I think people are also excited to hear about Youth Month and Youth Awards in particular.
Child Month,
yes.
And we were going to go Youth Awards, but we're at 10 o'clock, so we're going to move it to our next press conference. And just to note, Dr. Chang, our Deputy Prime Minister, has promised that next week he will be here. He was to be here this morning, but he had double booked. And so we are looking forward to having him next week to discuss many different matters, and I believe the Commissioner of Police will also be here with him. So that will be a very good post-cabinet press briefing that we will do next week. We are starting off Child Month tomorrow. It's an important month. It's an important theme that we have in terms of child abuse and exploitation. We have to protect our children, and the mental health issues that we see, the trauma that we see in our children, it is real. And we are dealing with it in our schools, and we're seeing it day after day. We have to protect our children. Let us focus on this Child Month. I have to thank the Child Month team, the committee that has put together this wonderful suite of activities. I want to thank the teachers. I remember seeing on Children's Day that they used to do all of these wonderful things, buying sweetie and stuff for the children. They don't have to do this. This is how our teachers go above and beyond what we ask of them, and I always thank them for that, and I look forward to a wonderful Child Month that's not just about words, but is really about us really talking about the issues facing our children and seriously trying to deal with them. And so this is the end of our post-cabinet press briefing tour today. I thank you all for joining us. I thank the ministers, the minister, I thank the PS and the CEO and the rest of the team. I thank the media for being here with us, and I look forward to our next post-cabinet press briefing with Dr. Chang. And so as always, I say enjoy the rest of your week, and God bless Jamaica, land we love. Thank you.
camping tent. I'm gonna show you why I'm about.
End up over here, son of a lift up now.
Welcome to Flatbridge. The infamous Dopey Church. I never afraid. If you wash your face with rice water, then you can see Dopey.
No, me don't want to say Dopey, no.
If I turn the yoke to the left, then the airplane will bank to the left.
Oh, that! Oh, that! Where's my bicycle, dog?
Motorists, as Minister of Justice, I appeal to you, obey the road code, pay your ticket on time, and only go to court if the ticket is being contested. Close to 80% of matters come into the parish court